Hi guys, what's up? Welcome to today's video. As you can tell by the title of the video, I am going to be doing a top 10 books I read this year. So I have a list here in my notebook of books that I need to talk about today because I've got 4 videos to film. Filmed one, this is the second one, then I've got to take a break because I've got client work to do. Anyway, I have a list of them written down, but these are in like no particular order. The first book that I'm going to talk about is actually 2 books because they are tied, and that is The Pale Horseman and the Lords of the North by Bernard Cornwell. These are books 2 and 3 of the Last Kingdom series. I loved these books so much. This book is the only one in this series that made me absolutely sob. This book had a scene in the second part of the book, I think. The second or the third part of the book that was so intense. And like, I talked with my dad about it afterwards because my dad's read all of these books. And we had a good chat about it and it was amazing. And it was like the one thing that I was like, I can't believe they cut that out of the show. That was so intense. That was so amazing. So yeah, I loved both of these books so much, to the point I couldn't pick between them, so they're both here. So I guess it's really 11 books, but I'm counting these as one. I'm gonna reread them, maybe next year, maybe the year after, I don't know. But they were so good. And oh my days, it's weird thinking back and thinking like, oh, so the characters that like the main character Uhtred, he gets like a group of friends, or like a band together later on in the series, and he doesn't meet half of them until this book. So in this book they're not even in it, and it's weird thinking about that and being like, huh, that's wrong. That feels very wrong. The next book I'm going to show you is A Good Girl's Guide to Murder by Holly Jackson. I binged this book. I read it, oh my days, it was so good. And like, I read the entire series before the casting came out for the show. I didn't even know there was going to be a TV show when I read this. It was only after I read the last book, and I did like a deep dive on Holly Jackson's Instagram and I found this thing. I was like, oh my days, TV show, epic. And then like a few days after I finished the last book, the casting came out and I was like, oh my days, amazing. But yeah, I loved this book. I loved like reading Pippa and Ravi, who are just the cutest couple imaginable. I love them so much. They're so sweet. I loved playing detective and trying to guess who murdered Andy. And like trying to figure out, oh, was it Sal? Was it not? Who? If it wasn't, who was it? Blah blah blah. It was so much fun. I won't give any spoilers, but yeah, it was so fun. And the last like couple chapters was so intense. I was not prepared. But it was amazing. So good. The next book on my list is, of course, a Brandon Sanderson book, and it is Yumi and the Nightmare Painter by Brandon Sanderson. This was book 3 of the 4 secret projects that Sanderson gave us in the year of Sanderson. This was the 3rd of 4 books that Sanderson gave us for the year of Sanderson. It was one of the secret projects. It was my favourite of the secret projects, I think. I read it first in my family. So we did the Kickstarter, and so we got the audiobooks and the Kindle books, because to get the physical books we would have had to pay a lot of money and then shipping on top of that, so it was just ridiculous. So we had the audiobooks and the Kindle books, and I binge listened to it. I basically did like all of the errands so that I could listen to it while I was in the car. It was so fun, and I loved the story and the twists, and yeah, it was so much fun. And then Waterstones came out with this like beautiful, like, it's so pretty. It's so pretty, and it's got beautiful inside cover art. I'm not going to show you have to go and buy it yourself. But yeah, that was amazing. And the next book is another secret projects book. It's actually the first secret projects book we got, which is Tress of the Emerald Sea. I have 2 copies of this because when it first came out, this was the copy I bought. This was just like the standard copy that I could find everywhere. And it's white, and it fits in with my other Cosmere books. It kind of annoys me that this one this one's like cream, it's not white, so it doesn't like fit in with the aesthetic of all of the white spines, but whatever. And then a few months later I found this, and this one is beautiful. They're both beautiful, but I like this one more, so of course I had to get it. So we have 2 copies of Tress. This took me a little while to read. I think I read it throughout the majority of January. Let me check, because I think I started it on the 1st, or I started it on the 3rd of January and I finished it on the 27th. So it did take me the majority of the month to read, and it was only once my sister and my dad had finished it and were both talking about how good it was, I was like, right, I need to finish this book. So I binge listened to it on like 5 times speed or something like that. And yeah, it was amazing. It is my second favourite of the Secret Projects. I'm going to be completely honest, I've only read 3 of the 4 Secret Projects. There is one, the second Secret Projects book that came out, that is not Cosmere related. I just started it, but I just didn't get into it. I do own it and I will read it at some point. But of the 3 books I read, this is my second favourite. Yeah, I loved Tress, and it's like a Princess Bride, but what if Buttercup had gone after Wesley instead of sitting around doing nothing. The next book is another Sanderson book. But it is non-Cosmere, and that is Defiant by Brandon Sanderson, which is the last book in the Skyward Saga. It came out last month. It came out on the 27th, I want to say. It came out the 21st, that's right. I didn't read it when it arrived. I got this for my birthday as a birthday present, but I waited a couple days. I was going to visit my cousin who was at uni. It was like the first time I was going up to see her, and I was taking the train up, so I was like, I'm going to save it and I'll read it on the train. And that may have been a bad idea had I read the end of this book on the train. I read the end of the book in her bedroom, while she was talking with her flatmates about housing for next year or something like that. And she came back into the room and I had like 2 chapters left or 3 chapters left, and she just walked into her room and looked at me, and I looked up and I was sobbing, just full on sobbing my heart out. And she was like, "Are you okay?" And I was like, I don't know. I won't tell you what I was crying about because you might not have read this book, and I don't want to like spoil anything. But if you have read this book, you know what I was crying about. But oh my days, this was an insane ending to an incredible series. I still don't want to say, I know that it's happened and it's the end for now because there's Skyward Legacy coming, which I'm very excited about. But I know it's like the end of the set, and I'm not ready. I'm not ready for it to be the end. I don't want it to be the end. But it was great. And the next book is another Sanderson book, but I don't own it, and that is The Sunlit Man by Brandon Sanderson, which is book 4 of the Secret Projects. And that came out in, I want to say October. Yeah, it must have been October because Wildfire is showing up and I read that. Yeah, 19th of October it came out. And I absolutely loved it. It was great. It was my 3rd favourite of the Secret Projects that I've read. So 3rd of 3. But it was really good. It took me a little while to read it, but definitely a lot quicker than Tress. My dad finished it and was like, you've got to like keep reading it, you've got to keep reading it. And it was very different to the other 2, to Tress and Yumi. But oh my days, it was so good, and it has changed. Oh, it was so good. It was just amazing. And I can't really say anything without spoiling the Cosmere stuff that I've read, so I'm not going to. We're not going to dwell, but anyway, we're going to move on. But it was great. The next couple books I have are all like contemporary romances, so a bit easier going. So the next book I have is Falling Hard for the Royal Guard by Megan Clausen. I read this coronation weekend. I read this when the coronation was going on. I absolutely loved it. This is it's about a girl who lives in the Tower of London, which is actually where Megan lived when she wrote this book. It's about a girl that lives in the Tower of London and falls in love with a guard. And it was amazing, and I absolutely loved it. It was just the perfect, like, cheesy rom-com I needed. The next book is a book I arc read for, and that is Tame the Heart by Ava Hunter. I loved this book. I read it in a day. I put work on hold for a day so that I could finish reading this book. Like I said, I arc read for it. At that time, I had signed up to arc read for it through a third-party group. I am now part of Ava's ARC reading team, which I'm so honoured to be a part of. This is the first book in the Runaway Ranch series, and it was so good. Oh my days, the Montgomery brothers. Oh, they're so good. So good. It was so good, and yeah, loved it. It was amazing. The next book, The Score by Elle Kennedy. This is book 3 of the off-campus series. This was the one I enjoyed the most. I think I gave the other books 4-star. This one got a 5-star. It was the one, like all of the other books, there was a point, like probably in the middle of the book, where I got quite bored and I was a bit like, oh, this feels a bit like it's dragging on. This one, however, didn't feel like that. It felt like every page I turned something was happening, and that was great. I also crazily annotated it. That's like the most annotated of the off-campus series. The last book is The Playlist by Morgan Elizabeth. This book, if you are a Swiftie, if you love contemporary steamy romances, this book is for you. This book is for you. It is the last book in a series. The series can be read as standalones. However, just be prepared that you will have slight spoilers for books that come before it. There's 5 books in total. I read them out of order. I read the first one, then I read the 5th one, sorry. And then for my birthday, I got the 1st and the 2nd. And then I bought myself her latest book, which is a Christmas book called Big Nick Energy. And it is book 4 in like a spin-off of this series. And I have the first book in said spin-off coming tomorrow. But yeah, this was amazing. And I took this on holiday with me and my cousin. For her birthday at the beginning of the year, instead of getting her a present, I took her away on holiday. Or I booked us a holiday for July. And we went away and had a blast. And this was one of the books I read. And like I annotated it by Taylor Era. It was so much fun, and like the highlight of that trip was us getting Eras tour tickets. I mean, come on. But yeah, that was an amazing book. But I couldn't make a list of some of my favourite books that I read this year without including a Sarah Sutton book, because Sarah's books, oh my days. I don't have the words to describe my love. So, Fake Dating the Football Player. This is my honourable mention. I loved this book. I arc read, so this is book 4. Book 4 of the Most Likely To? Yeah, book 4 of the Most Likely To series. The last one is coming up next year. I have arc read for every single one of the Most Likely To series. And I love that I get to do that. But yes, thank you so much for watching. Please leave a like if you enjoyed this video, and subscribe to my channel if you like more bookish writing content. And let me know in the comments if you have read any of these books. And yeah, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you guys tomorrow. Bye!